So this is what it looks like. Okay. I didn't have any like mirror or anything to try to figure out how it looks. But anyway, welcome to beautiful Dublin, Georgia. And let me know if that light's too distracting or if that light's too distracting, and I'll turn them off. So that might be a little distracting. So tell you what, here's what we're going to do. All right. I'm going to turn the light off in the background of the hotel because that's a bit of too much of a fill. Or is it a key? I get them confused. So greetings to another round of SDH from beautiful Dublin, Georgia. And it is a Wall Pass Wednesday. So it's whatever's on your mind in addition to whatever's on our minds this morning. So let me see if that's any better. The mood lighting, it might be a little better. Like I said, it might, I guess that might pass. John here, you there from Dublin. And the reason we're here from Dublin is because of what happened last night on the network. Thank you, Abby. And on the network last night, we had Appling County and Jeff Davis. And it was great to be here with our friends here in, well, technically Lawrence County, and then that way, which is it was Jeff Davis County and Appling County last night on the network. And here's your proof that we were, in fact, there last night. So once again, this was really cool from our friends. Is that reversed? Let me double check, because if that's reversed, because seeing, it looks like it's reversed. So this is what happens when you plug into a camera on a desk. So camera, mirror camera. No, there. See, there we go. See, you're hitting the mirror camera button, and then you end up with something. So here we go. See there. We were there last night. We had our places in the press box and everything. So, no, it was very, very cool to be with our friends last night in Jeff Davis County, and it was a big win for the. No, actually, this was for. I wish it was for parking, but no. This was for basically where we were in the press box. So the Jeff Davis County folks had their thing, and we had our thing. But literally, they gave us like this middle section of the press box last night in Hazelhurst, and it's like reserved. Bang. And so we got like 4 chairs worth of space, and it was really cool to be down here for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, to catch up with our friends here at Jeff Davis, and we've done it on a couple of different levels. And we were really fortunate to be able to tell the story during American football season because of Hurricane Helene coming through. And it gave us a chance to catch up and find out what's going on now that we're into late winter, early spring. Well, still late winter, technically, I think till the 21st. And it gave us a chance to catch up and find out how things are. And what I'll tell you, morning, Tommy, when you come this way here in Middle Georgia, and that might be a little too bright because the sun, I think, is starting to peek through. Okay. How about that? When you come down the Golden Isles Parkway, which is Georgia 280, and you have, there are a couple of different cities that you'll come through, or at least when Google Maps tells you what to do. You come down through Dublin, you go south, and then you kind of go a little southeast, for lack of a better word. So then you get on Georgia 280, and you end up in the town of McRae and Helena, and that's in Telfair County, which is about 40 minutes that way. Then you go through McRae, you go through Helena, and you're on the Golden Isles Parkway. It's a divided 4-lane, and it gets you basically from Macon to Brunswick, and you don't have to go through Savannah. So if you want to go through stoplights and things, you go down the Golden Isles Parkway. And I guess technically this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code to come at some point when I have figured out technology with the new layout. So you're going down the Golden Isles Parkway. You go through McRae and Helena and Telfair County. The next county through is then Jeff Davis County. And in Middle Georgia, in Jeff Davis County specifically, it's known as the Pinelands, for those of you that have not been down to this particular section of Middle Georgia. And huge pine industry with pine trees and such, and huge pecan industry. And when Hurricane Helene came through last year, wiped out a lot of Jeff Davis County. And there was weeks before people had the access to the roads and the power and everything. And so when we came through during football season, the other football season, uh, I was fortunate enough to be able to get Nick to come and embed with the football team for the first football game that they had when they were coming back. And 30% of the county had power, but they were going to have a game, and they had the game. And it's a story that we ran during the championships back in December. And for us here at SDH, it gave us the chance here in March to come back and see what the update is. But if you go through on Georgia 280, you go through McRae and Helena, you go through next county is Lumber City for obvious reasons. Then Lumber City is about 5 miles away from Hazelhurst, which is where Jeff Davis is. When you go into Lumber City, it's still, you still have some trees that are pointing northwest, but not every tree is pointing northwest and so on. You get to Lumber City and you make this big banking right-hand turn to go more southeast than south, or more east than south. And then it just hits you that there's still a lot of recovery going on, and more trees are facing the northwest, and you have a lot more trees that are down, and businesses that still have blue and green tarps on their roofs. You still have a lot of apartment buildings that are still and complexes that still have blue tarps. And because they are out of blue tarps, they have green tarps. That's how far down the line we've gone. They're out of blue tarps. They went to green tarps. And you have some places that have both. And so for us to be able to come down here to Jeff Davis and see what's going on in Middle Georgia, see how they're still continuing to recover from Helene. For those of you that might have missed it in the boys' game, we had the head football coach, American football coach, Lance Helton, on at halftime, and he got to kind of break things down a little bit. So it was important on a couple of different levels for us to be down there last night and catch up with everybody, find out what's going on with our friends, find out how things are, find out what they need, those kinds of things. And so it was a really cool chance for us to kind of showcase a rivalry, not even a region rivalry, but a regional rivalry, because Baxley's Appling County is one county over. So it was a chance for us to showcase a rivalry. Packed house, by the way, on the boys on the home side, and they actually divided up the home stands with yellow tape. So the Appling fans and the Jeff Davis fans were separated by 15 feet. So it was a fun crowd last night. And Jeff Davis ended up getting the sweep 3-0 in the girls and then 5-4 in the shootout last night. Game was crazy. You can go back and listen to the replay on our Mixler site at soccerdownhere.mixler.com if you feel so compelled. But it was fun to be down there last night and catch up with folks and be there on a couple of different levels. But, that was the beginning of our coverage this week on the high school side of things, which means that there's more on the high school side of things coming up. And where that is, tomorrow we're at Eagles Landing for Hampton and Eagles Landing. And as always, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for being a great sponsor with us here. So Hampton and Eagles Landing, the doubleheader there is tomorrow. Then on Friday, the doubleheader on SDH's Mixler site, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, or just download the Mixler app and follow SDH and SDH2. We'll be up at Johnson Gainesville for GAC in Johnson Gainesville. Coach Tom Jacquet for a GAC recently cleared 300 career wins, and so we'll be up there at Johnson Gainesville Friday. We'll be at Eagles Landing tomorrow, and because of travel and hotel rooms, traditionally I know that during high school season we have soccer's in session Wednesdays at noon. Tomorrow is when we're going to have soccer's in session, because if we had soccer's in session today, they'd be banging on the door at noon trying to kick me out of the room. So what we've done is we pushed soccer's in session back a day. It's going to be on Thursday. And what we're going to do is we are going to have, who's at noon? GAC is going to be on at noon. Then you're going to have Frank Zamora on. Coach T will be on at noon. You're going to have Frank Zamora on at 12:15 from Johnson Gainesville, and we're going to get a visit from Jeremy Moore at Toombs County at 12:45. So that soccer's in session is tomorrow. Otherwise, they're going to, like I said, they're going to be banging on a door. If I did soccer's in session today, that would be a problem because, like I said, they are going to be trying to kick me out of a room or something like that if I tried to do soccer's in session from a hotel room at noon. That'd be bad unless I had like really super late checkout, which I don't. So that's why we're here in Dublin. Okay, I believe that Tyler is properly caffeinated, or at least he was. I gotta ask about this because we can see what's going on in the green room, and I have to ask this question of Tyler. What were you doing, sir?
I was chugging a protein shake.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what that was because
Yeah.
traditionally you have your cup of coffee with
Have
you.
that too. I always come prepared.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I was just trying to figure out what in the wide world of sports is going on.
Yeah.
That was not a beverage with which I'm familiar in seeing you with, and I was trying to figure out what is going. It's like, is there something inside this canister? Is he doing the kaleidoscope thing when we were kids? Is he trying to sit there and figure out what's going on?
It's not a Pringles can.
Okay, just checking.
No, it was a protein shake.
So yeah, greetings from Dublin, by the way.
Ah, yes, the middle of nowhere.
Yes, middle of Lawrence County, one of the largest. How do we phrase this? One of the largest opportunities for local law enforcement to how do we phrase? Increase their financial bottom lines.
Did you get a ticket on us on 16?
No. I have not.
Okay.
Not this time. I have in the past. I mean, like years ago when because there are those stretches of 16. Lawrence County takes up a boatload of 16. Literally, you get into one side of Lawrence County and you're like just leaving Macon. You come into Lawrence County. You're just exiting Lawrence County, heading east, and you're basically in Savannah. I jest, but that's not quite. That's kind of accurate,
pretty
but
close.
But so in the past, when I have had cars that were far more powerful than the one I have now, like I said, I have a Subaru. I've got a Subaru Forester now because we needed a second bigger car that wasn't just a sedan. But when I've had sedans in the past that had V8s and everything, that stretch of 16, you're sitting there and you're punching it in Dublin, and it was divided 4 lanes, and literally oh my God, I was flooring it one time. And literally, I just see the Lawrence County cop coming the other way, and I know I'm busted the second he sees me. And so I literally, I knew I was busted. He turns around. I see it. I just pulled right over. I'm done. I know it. I pulled right over. It's like, and I'm laughing the whole time as he's giving me the ticket because I knew I was busted.
Yep.
So yes, I have been there. Not this time because if a Subaru Forester got a speeding ticket, that would really say something, and I probably should be in a Subaru ad by the end of the day.
Yeah, for real. As long as you're in that kind of Subaru ad, though, and not the really emotional, like, we just got in a massive car accident, but the car saved my life, which is ultimately a good thing, but they're always kind of sad to watch.
Yes. So no, that was not what we were doing, but no, we have not gotten a speeding ticket in a very long time. But yes, those opportunities still do exist for people. There he goes promoting the mug. For those of you that travel I-16 either direction going between Macon and Savannah. I, however, have not. So, we were down here last night doing high school soccer down at Jeff Davis. We did Jeff Davis and Appling. And so this is kind of like a midpoint. You kind of just like drive an hour north just so you can be in a hotel. Fancy new hotel, by the way. And so we were not going to miss this opportunity. You've had a couple days and had a chance to kind of digest things. And in listening to Ronnie Dyla's post-match press conference after the goalless draw with Red Bulls, he sees promise. He knows it's there. He's confident it's coming. He mentioned once again that they've only been together really for 7 weeks to try and implement what he's looking to implement when it comes to his philosophy and his game day approach. Last couple of days, when you have had your programming over there at SNS, what have folks been saying other than the sky is falling? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
To be fair, there actually hasn't been as much the sky's falling.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the 3rd week. I left out of the stadium after the match. I was irritated.
Mhm.
And I think that kind of echoed, like, how Dyla felt, and I think how a lot of fans felt, like, because it felt like one of those that it was there for the taking, especially in the first half, and you see the signs, right? Like, you see what's trying to be done and what they want to accomplish, and you're getting glimpses of it for, 30, 45 minutes at a time in matches, and to be fair as well, like, the second half wasn't a just abrupt drop off a cliff like it was in Charlotte. It was a little bit of a slower burn, but it wasn't the first half either. Like, it wasn't what you wanted. And so, things kind of became frantic. I think that's the mentality part of it where, you're trying to rush something. You just want to get that goal so you can go ahead and then you can kind of, settle in a little bit and you just never can make that happen. And so then you start pinging long balls over the top. And, I think overall, like, fans are seeing the signs, which is good. Like, we're all seeing the signs of things that have to happen. Just like Dyla said, they have to do it for 90 minutes. They have to be consistent with it. They have to string it together for an entire match and not go into their proverbial shell, as he called it.
Well, and at the same time, it's one of those where you look at that first 45, and we went over the numbers back on Monday. Where yes, the numbers are somewhat slanted. I won't say somewhat; they're just slanted by comparison with the output in the first 45 and the second 45. But I think that when you look at things with anybody in any athletic endeavor, you sit there and it's like, okay, you in the first 45, just as an example, you're pushing, the things are happening, and I love the quote, and I'm probably going to have to hang on to this, and this is uh, what I would probably have coming into this weekend with Messi and friends on Sunday Night Soccer is that and I'm going to steal it from Ronnie here for a second. You remember what Mickey told Rocky in fighting Apollo? When it was late in the original Rocky, and Rocky had finally gotten inside on Apollo, what did Mickey tell Rocky?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I cannot tell you.
Don't let that bastard breathe. And so Ronnie
Okay.
said, we didn't let him breathe.
Yep.
And you saw that in the first 45. And I think that when you have that first 45 and you see that you're right there and you're banging on the door, then you come in the second half and you're still banging on the door, you're getting frustrated because it's not happening. And then you start reverting to old habits and and then it's like, you're going direct instead of working it the way that you were, told to philosophically. And you're just kind of putting that self-imposed pressure on yourself and you revert back to the things that are safe, those things that you've used in the past. And I think that we've seen that on occasion. And then it turns into this vicious cycle. So you go back to things in the past and it's not happening. And then you want to work faster and then it's not happening. I think that's what we're seeing here in the second 45s at times.
Yeah. In a lot of things in life, like you're going to revert to the level of training that you're most comfortable with. And some of these players have had, a year, 2, some 3 years of a certain type of football. And it doesn't matter if that type of football was good or bad. It's not what Dial is trying to do. And so he's gonna have to pull that out of them or vice versa. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's gonna take consistency of, kind of fighting past that mentality of withdrawing and going back to the old habits or old ways or whatever. Because it's never, I think, an intentional thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're used to. And so if they can continue with the kind of training that, we've seen at the training ground, the types of drills that they're doing, like those things will gradually pull them into the habits that Dyla does want in the second half, in the 70th minute when things are getting a little tough, they revert to, all right, now let's dig down and do exactly what our coach wants better, as opposed to let me just go back to what's easy and what I've been doing for years. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a factor there that and I know fans never want to hear this. I never want to hear it, like, but it does take time. And I think the biggest difference though is it takes time, but you're seeing progression, and you've seen progression since the very first match in Chattanooga. Like there are things about that are fixed and they're gone. Like we're not really seeing those issues anymore. And like I said a minute ago, this second half wasn't it didn't just drop off a cliff like it did in Charlotte. Charlotte was pretty bad. That was like almost like a switch was flipped and it just things fell apart. This one, you could see the sloppiness kind of coming in and working its way kind of into what otherwise was a pretty crispy match in terms of passing. And then you start trying to get frantic and rush things, and you start bombing the ball over the top, and those balls aren't even accurate anyway. So that's you could see it happening as opposed to it just falling off the edge.
Right. When you're at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground and you get the chance to see what Ronnie Dyla is trying to implement, for those that don't get to go through the guard gate, see practice, what are you seeing in these drills and in these training sessions and lessons that Ronnie Dyla is trying to impress upon them? What are you seeing when you're behind the wall, and what is he trying to implement without giving away any state secrets or anything?
I think the biggest thing that I see with it is very intentional drilling. It's very disciplined. It is very streamlined. So, and what I mean by all that is, they come out, they do their quick warm-ups, they have a plan of what they want to work on based on who the next opponent is. And some of it's universal. Like we know that Dyla wants to play attacking football. He doesn't want to be playing backwards as much if you can avoid it. But there is a patience and build up that he kind of alluded to in the post match press conference this past weekend. But what you're seeing is drills that are as close that you're going to get to repetitive game time play that you could get on a training ground without actually going and playing a full 11v11 every day. You're getting drills that involve, a defender paired up with 3 midfielders, and by midfielders, I also include wingers in there, and then a forward. And so you have lots of, quick give and go, moving the ball forward, progressing the ball rapidly, um, around players and not bombing it over the top. This is playing through, pressure, and it's building chemistry. Like, it's very intentionally building chemistry because the players that are getting paired up together, they're this is like a Matt Edwards and a Miguel Almiron and Bartek Slish, like guys that are kind of playing in the same areas as the ball gets progressed up the pitch. So it's it's very intentional with what they're doing. It's not just a catch-all, like, let's go out and do something to keep ourselves fit. This is gonna be, pretty strenuous, but it's also going to be what you're gonna see in a real game. And then on top of that, it is Ronnie Dyla working his way through the different stations, if you will, and, he'll give the praise, but he's not afraid to call somebody out and say, "Just like that, stop, like, that was not what you're supposed to do, do it better." And so it is a stark contrast, admittedly, to the past few years. It's just a different style of coaching, but it's very purpose driven, and I really, really like to see it.
When you have someone like Ronnie Dyla, and at the same time you mention both sides that you're going to get from Ronnie, you're going to get the praise, but at the same time, if you're not getting it, he's going to let you know. And one of the other things that we see from Ronnie Dyla in post-match press conferences, in the analysis of a match, every single time out, that Ronnie Dyla will sit there and say, and I've got to look at how I'm doing things. I mean, he's the same kind of guy who's going to sit there and go, yep, I've got to, it starts with me, buck stops here, whatever you want to say, but it starts with me. I've got to look at me at the same time that he's got to look at what the messaging is and what the approach was in that particular match. He's going to sit there and put the mirror on himself just as much.
Yeah, because I think part of his process is as well, like, you're past the phase where you're learning the players, like, from a broad perspective, right? And now you're starting to see, like, what are their habits, like, good and bad? Like, what are the little things that they do in particular situations? And so it now you're kinda moved on from, like, all right, the first game, second game, this can go for 5, 6, 7 games, but you're seeing them trying to work on what it is that Ronnie Dyla is laid out for them and what he's kinda planned for them, and they are doing it well up to a point. And now his part is now I got to fine tune it. I got to see like, all right, when Derek Williams is placed under pressure, what is his default decision making? When Slish is trying to progress the ball up the field, what is his default decision making? And if it's not the right thing, what can I do to fix it and make it what I want? And so I think that's kind of the part where he's at now, where he's just kind of saying, all right, what tweaks can I make? Like, it's obvious. We see what he wants to do, but now it's a matter of like fine tuning and nailing down what about the way that we're playing can be tweaked to maybe give Miggy some more space to operate. What can keep Alexi and Miggy from occupying the same space a lot and maybe kind of, canceling each other out a little bit? Like, what little things can be fixed and get everybody kind of on the full on right path in the same page.
Well, and to your point, once again, you're still, I think, to a certain degree, until it becomes second nature, you are still in that, and I know I'm being somewhat simplistic when I say this, you're still in that hello, my name is stage when
Yeah.
it comes to, okay, well, so and so's going over here, that means I have to do this in return. So you're still trying to figure out, before it becomes symbiotic and second nature, yeah, my normal idea has been to go over here. Oh, ish. The same thing is happening with this guy. And so then you have to figure out how these relationships are. So you're not quite on first date behavior, but you're still trying to figure out, okay, well, if the personality of this person is here, then it's here. And it's still a bit of getting to know you, but it's a different kind of getting to know you, because it is now game state versus training camp. And that's an entirely different thing, where you're 3 matches in and you're seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah. And then on top of that too, it kind of goes to tie it all together. It goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, where, the 60th minute comes and your legs are tired, right? You're hurting a little bit. Your breathing's a little more labored. Like it's not fresh out the gate. Like, I'm thinking completely clearly. I know exactly what my coach wants. Now you're down in the trenches. And so, yeah, you're going to fall back to some of those habits. And if those habits aren't what your coach wants, then he's going to call you out after the game. And then you're going to spend a week trying to fix it. And so, yeah, there's still a lot of that, again, fine tuning and tweaking that has to be done. And the only way you get there is from Dyla coaching staff seeing what it is that you are prone to do in certain situations, and you have to hone in on that second half because that's been the issue.
Yeah.
And then from there, saying, "All right, don't do that again. Stop doing that." Like, you
Stop.
have to put it into your head that, like, at the whatever, when you start to feel this way, you cannot revert back to the way that you did it before. We have to keep going and following our plan.
So when it comes to these first 3 matches, I know that obviously we're still waiting. We were waiting for the return of Pedro Amador. Pedro Amador came back in. He was on the left. We're still waiting for the return of Brooks Lennon. Lennon obviously wants to come back like 3 weeks ago yesterday, but he's still in his progressions trying to come back at right back. You had to navigate some injuries at the back once again. Matthew Edwards, had he not gotten the yellow card, would have had the highest SOFA score rating, I believe, at the back line. I think the two on the right-hand side, you had 2 7.3s with him and Stian Gregerson. Then you had 2 7.1s. Like I said, I don't know what SOFA score does as a point of reference, but it was 0.2 of a point of difference from the guys on the right-hand side, the guys on the left-hand side. But Matthew Edwards, once again, seems to be getting into that rhythm and understanding Major League Soccer, understanding what Ronnie Dyla wants. We're seeing a progression with Matt Edwards.
Yeah, and it's rapid. And going back to the training conversation, like the drills that we see, the one that I'm always going to refer back to is that kind of rapidly building out, playing through pressure drill that they did. And it was, Matt Edwards, it was Miggy, it was Slish, and 2 more players, and I can't remember who they were right now, but you saw in those drills, and they did this like nonstop for like 30 minutes. It was just nonstop back and forth, and it's just repetition. And almost every set, Miggy was going to Matt saying, good job, or Miggy was going to Matt saying, hey, you need to play the ball here, or you need to be there when I play the ball. And they're all, having those conversations, but that's the chemistry that's building. And I think you saw it a lot more in this game. And Matt Edwards has been on that curve since the very first game, where I think he's having some really, really solid performances. And I mean, this game overall, I know it's frustrating because it's at home. You need to win these games, but I mean, if you want to take the positive out of it, you took on the runners up from last year and kept them to a clean sheet
Gave
after
them less than nothing to work with.
exactly like you shut them out. So like there are positives to take there, and some of that is obviously due to your defenders, one of which is Matt, who has been building the chemistry. And I think defensively, his positioning has gotten a lot better, but then he's also becoming much more brave in playing forward with Mickey, with whoever's happens to be kind of floating on that side, whether it's Alexi or Latte Loth way up top. So, I mean, I'm impressed. I really am. And I think he's not the glaring kind of inexperienced guy that you even saw a couple of weeks ago. Yes, he's still the young guy, but he's doing really well, and he's putting in the work to give Dyla something to think about.
All right. So Tyler Pilgrim hanging out with us as he always does. Scarves and Spikes. Go ahead and take another sip from your coffee so that way you can promote the mug.
There we go. All right, sounds like a good idea. I needed it.
Yeah, there we go. So there's Tyler with the mug, and there's Tyler with the lid. So you can go to SNS's the website, and you can get all the things. You can get the lid, you can get the coffee mug, you can get. So, what kind of other obscure things can folks get by going and getting the gear?
So we do have some new shirts. We have other hats besides the one that I wear.
So is it like the three of you? Is it like the three or
No.
the four of you? You get the headshots on the shirts?
No, we didn't go that route. We actually did because we did the alternate logo that was more of the community thing. So we have like one that's got like a patch,
Okay.
almost like a club patch, and then it says scarvesandspikes.com on the back. We have the beer glass, obviously the coffee mug. I was trying to get a whiskey glass, but they're like the whiskey glasses are out of production right now, which I was a little upset about. Yeah.
What? You have the Steins of the beer. You have the beer.
That would be cool. Like a very classic, like Bavarian or German Stein. Would love that.
Yeah, see that would work for SNS. Jared hopping in here for probably about 20 minutes for the remainder of Tyler's segment because if I remember Jared's work schedule, he turns into a pumpkin traditionally about 10.
He turns into a pumpkin whenever he damn well pleases.
Oh, and that's absolutely true because he leads the league in Irish goodbyes here in the history of the program on the morning show. Jared, we are discussing Ronnie Dyla and practice and getting to know you and game state and all these kinds of things. The one thing that we have not gotten into is Latte Lot and the concussion protocol. So we are now having to look at that going into the remainder of this week. He went into protocol immediately once the collision was made with a polar bear and a Red Bulls player. And, when you kind of smash into a polar bear, that's a losing battle immediately. Tyler, when you look at right now, obviously we have no updates. Probably not going to get an update until Friday at the earliest. There is the prospect of not having Latte Lot going up against Messi and friends on Sunday, but being Sunday night soccer, it gives you that little bit of an extra window to kind of analyze things and sit there and go, okay, yes, no, maybe, and figure things out. But Latte Lot, you could kind of tell after the collision that it wasn't 100% right now in concussion protocol, and we got that to keep an eye on as well the rest of the week.
It's 5 days too, so there's definitely some hope, and like you said, the Sunday night part of it definitely helps. So, per the rules, I mean, he could be okay. Now it's just going to be like if he's feeling proper, because we all know how concussions go.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a perfect example of how concussions, how they can be so tricky. You have this collision in the 38th minute. He gets checked out on field. He gets checked out off field. Goes in the locker room. Probably, I imagine, is where he kind of was like, something don't feel right, but let's just, he goes back out and then he gets subbed off pretty early. It was right after the game that he was placed in protocol. So, 5 days from that point, you definitely have plenty of time. I know that Latte Loth, the one game, because I asked him, the one game that you are so excited to play this year, which one is it? He said it's against Miami. He said, I want to beat Messi. And I'm like, let's go, dude. Come on. if he can avoid it, he will not miss this game. But again, concussions are tricky. Maybe you see Cayman Togashi for the first half, whatever. Maybe Latte Latte comes on at the end to just run against, 38-year-old legs or whatever. I don't know. But if he can avoid it, if he can make it happen, if he can make it happen, he'll be there.
Jared, obviously the notion being, and Tyler went ahead and dropped the name. It could be a Togashi-san who could be coming in to get some reps here. You have to kind of, obviously, you have to prepare for both. You have to prepare for, okay, if we don't have Latte Lot, then what does it look like in practice? And then, because it's, no offense, but we got a game to prepare for here. But it does present, once again, the reasons that you bring in Togashi and having the others there. So that's one of the biggest questions leading into this matchup against Messi and friends on Sunday night.
Yeah, the world doesn't stop for anybody. The league, the team, none of it stops for anybody. You have to keep moving forward, and especially when you've been creating chances like you have, but haven't putting them away. Your focus needs to be not just on one guy, but everybody needs to be on, making sure that you maintain that confidence for Moranchuk, for Amiron, for Sabalovshnitsa, for Togashi if he's in. However it goes, and it has to be next man up. And look, I feel like this should have been this had to be the conversation with Togashi in the first place when he signed here, and that conversation being hey, come here and play. You're gonna be our third striker. Maybe you don't say this part out loud, but our second striker was born with paper skin and glass bones. So,
yeah.
There's gonna be times where you're gonna be second striker, and I'm gonna need you to step up and be that guy. And here we are already.
Yeah.
You need him to step up and be that guy. So, you gotta keep moving and hope he can go out there and produce, because this is a Miami team that will give you chances, especially a Miami team that will give you chances that's played 8 games, that will have played 8 games, and will have played in Cavalry, which is there are a lot of things I would rather do and go play down there in the midweek and then come back to it
On a Thursday night and having to flip.
And go play Cavalry and then have to come back here on what's going to be a rough field, let's be honest, in a scrappy ass game, because if they get one off Miami, but it gets tense, it gets chaotic, it gets stressful for everyone involved. But also that's a lot of minutes on a lot of old legs, and again, Miami is more than just the old guys that we know, but that's still a lot of minutes on those legs.
And to Jarrett's point, Tyler, it is not just the Gulfstream Galacticos, and you have added Allende and Segovia as a part of this, and they have 4 goals, and it's like, welcome to Major League Soccer. You step in, you're in these, and they also picked up Baltazar Rodriguez on loan earlier this week. I would love to know how Raul Sanllehi views the salary cap. I would love to know how all of this is navigated. Just if we could have a Hard Knocks economics Messi and Friends 101 as to how they're navigating the salary structure. And yes, we did get the updated GAM numbers earlier this week.
Masterclass.
So, yes. So it would be masterclass with Raul Sanllehi and Messi and Friends to figure all this stuff out. But yeah, you brought in another U22 midfielder. You have the new players that have come in and haven't skipped a beat and just been introduced to Major League Soccer once again, first time through the batting order. You understand where you are. But it is, right now, Messi's on a pitch count. He's got international duty coming up. That is a priority. And much like last year when you were 10-3-2 without him, you ain't lost yet without him here in 2025. So just because you may not see 10 doesn't mean that you're not going to have other weapons staring at you on Sunday night.
Yeah, and then you take into consideration the emotion from last year. There's going to be, I think, a heightened sense of everything in this game. This was chosen for Sunday night for a reason, obviously. And so this is like, that kind of like main event UFC, WWE type. Like there's going to be some spiciness in this one for sure. And you know what the older guys, the Gulfstream, Galactica, you know what they're capable of, and you can never underestimate that, right? But they are dangerous, and a lot of folks have said this Miami team is better than they were last year. I mean, I think you have to wait a lot longer to determine that, but you do have goals coming from other places, which is it's good for them. And you do have to remember in the playoffs, Brad Guzan just turned into a Super Saiyan and grew hair and did his thing last year. And that really was the difference. Like the center backs, the defense, it was consistently getting tested really, really hard in those games. But Brad did his thing. And so you have to hope that like maybe not rely on Brad as much. But if you don't score goals in this game, you're not going to win. You're not going to draw because I would be shocked. I would love it, but I would be shocked if Atlanta can keep this to a clean sheet. It's going to be tough because you've got threats from everywhere.
5 of the last 6, Atlanta United has scored more than 1 goal in this one. And Jarrett, you look at this matchup, and it has so many questions leading into it just from a personnel standpoint. For Atlanta United, we're discussing what's going on up top, which means that you might have other options up top. The health and minutes of folks that are just coming back into the lineup. For Messi and friends, you're playing at Cavalry in front of 35,000 on Thursday. How do you handle that? Do you take your PJ and do you sit there after the match and go back to Fort Lauderdale? Do you hang out, get a quick rest? Do you fly up Saturday morning? Do you fly up Sunday morning? What's your lineup looking like? Jordi Alba seems to have been playing every minute, every match this year. There's a lot of subplot here that's attached to it on a bunch of different levels, which creates the Palace intrigue that we're going to be talking about, obviously, for the next couple of days.
In a different world, this would be what you would call a scheduled loss. I think with a different team, and I think maybe you'd be more apt to call it that if Atlanta were in form and it were a team other than Miami. You would call this a scheduled loss. In the same way that, like, if you look at the basketball schedule, and you'll see, like, oh, the Hawks are playing a back-to-back. They're playing tonight in Memphis. And when I say Memphis, I mean, like, the Zebo, Zach Randolph on Cody in Memphis era.
There you go.
And then, they're playing tomorrow night in Utah. Well, that Utah game's a scheduled loss, brother. But
Tim Duncan is getting rest for San Antonio and Greg Popovich. Why? Well, just because it's load management. Whatever.
Oh my God, San Antonio's going to end up with Cooper Flagg, aren't they? And they're just going to
Cooper Flagg and Victor Wembanyama. Exactly.
Yeah, they're just going to recreate like a modern version of Tim Duncan and
David Robinson. It's like, oh wait, Adam Silver has a frozen envelope. Hey, San Antonio, No, anyway, I know how this goes. Yes.
Yeah, in a different world, you would call it like a scheduled loss where you're feeling really good for Atlanta. But to Tyler's point, I agree. Like, you're not keeping them out the back of the net. They've been too good. I mean, they've had a red card in 2 games, and they have not lost either one of those games.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
And they have scored down a man in both of them.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
That's not sustainable, first of all.
No.
No. In the way that we used to talk about the cardiac cats when Orlando was doing that stuff back in like 2018. It's not a sustainable way to live your life. But they're tough. They're gritty. They're going to be a pain in the ass to play. We still don't really know. I feel like we still aren't really sure what to expect out of Javier Mascherano.
Yeah.
But
vibes.
Vibes.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't know what else really to expect from them, except that they're just going to be kind of a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. And if Messi's there, great for them. It has occurred to me though, I don't know what he's doing right now. I hope he's happy and I hope he's having a good time. Call Rob. Have Rob come hit the spike.
Oh.
I don't know where Rob is. I don't know what Rob's doing. I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I hope he's back in a gig sooner than later. I think he deserves it. Have Rob come hit the spike.
My gut tells me it's Dallas Austin, but that's just me. I have no intel on that whatsoever.
Get Cody to do it.
Oh, see,
Actually,
but
after
he's
the
on his way to Brussels, Belgium, though. That would be a hell of a flight.
after the interview he did yesterday, have Scott Steiner do it.
Yes, and have Steiner math figure out that Atlanta has a 141 2/3% chance of winning this matchup against Messi and friends. See, I know where you're going there. Tyler.
Well, he's probably up in Blacksburg right now watching his kid play.
Yeah.
His kid's a point guard at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, don't mess with it.
And his other kid is playing at Jacksonville State, I think.
Yes, that is correct. That is absolutely true. So it's OVC and it's ACC for the Rex Steiners.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, Messi and friends can be had. They can be had at the back. And while they did address the issues, you still have a Tomas Aviles who is a walking red card. I mean, Tomas Aviles, literally, I have the only time, well, I shouldn't say this, but Tomas Aviles reminds me of my Ford Aspire before it died. Because it didn't matter what you did trying to add water into the radiator, it always ran hot. Didn't matter what you did, didn't matter how much care you had in the car, didn't matter how long the drive was on the road. Literally, it got to the point to where you're having to pull over every 15 to 20 miles, put water in the radiator, and make sure that it didn't completely and totally overheat. That's what I think I'm staring at when I look at someone like Tomas Aviles. I think that you can run. Look, like I said, Jordi Alba's played every minute for the last 19 years. And I think that the speed for Atlanta United on the edges, doesn't matter if it's Miggy, doesn't matter what side, doesn't matter if it's Miggy, doesn't matter if it's Saba, doesn't matter where it's coming from. I think that if you can run at those edges and get in behind, I think that can be a key to success offensively. B, once again, I've always thought of Messi and friends offensively as an hourglass. Everything into Busquets or Jordi Alba into the middle, and then they get the opportunity to create and spread the ball back outside. And for God's sake, no cutback crosses inside the 18. Like I said, I think that if you choke the supply lines, I think you've got a good start. I think that if you run at the edges, I think that you've got good starts. I think that there's some things here that you can look at from history that can lead to these, Alcoa keys to success or whatever you want to talk about.
And especially in the non-playoff, because everybody's going to remember the playoff run in those matches, but in the non-playoff games, in the Miami Messi 2.0 era with Atlanta, where Atlanta has done really well, that's exactly how they found success. I mean, and now it's not even like, look, Saba's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Saba will get in behind.
Yes.
Saba's like the third slowest guy now. It seems like, I mean, you have Latte, if he plays, you have Latte Lath, you have Miggy, who is a massive wild card for this Miami team. And Miggy will be the type of guy that will absolutely enrage an Aviles 100%. And so, and then if you go back to kind of like the way that we were kind of hoping this season was going to start and play out, I joke around about Saba being the third slowest, but like he is the one that should have plenty of space, but you can't leave him alone. But you also have to protect yourself against Miggy. You have to protect yourself against Latte Lath or Togashi. To be fair, that dude's fast too. And he's very energetic in and around the box. The only one that I think really has to step it up in this one, in the attack, going the other way, is going to be Alexi. I think this needs to be his game. And we know he's not the speediest guy. He's technical. I want to see him use that technicality to his advantage. And he tried in this last game, but find those chippy little balls into the box directly to who you're looking for. Play more through balls on counters. Like, that's what I want to see out of Alexi. And I think if you can get those kind of things in sync, and it's not hard, it's just running in behind at a defense that does let up goals, regardless of if they gotten a little bit better, and just being a little crispier in those transition moments. Like you're coming out of here with some goals. I really feel that way. But you've got to take advantage of the moments where Miami's attackers don't get back and defend, because they traditionally don't. Whether Messi's on the pitch or not, Luis Suarez is not running 100 yards either way.
What?
It's gonna happen. So you've got options here. You have possibilities, and you just have to go into it with that same confidence you had a couple of months ago.
It's been interesting, Jarrett, to see Luis Suarez and Luis Suarez at the age of 74 doing what he's been doing. And it's interesting to see the navigation that you have here, where there are some players that need the time off. And I think that we're seeing this where Lionel Messi needs to rest. He needs the rest so he can be at 100%. Luis Suarez, to me, seems like at this point of his career, he needs to have that engine run. You can't just turn the keys off and put him in the garage and then expect to warm the car up and everything's going to be
Diesel
fine.
engine Suarez.
Yeah. So I think that literally the you have to have Suarez continuing to get reps so those knees don't get to remind themselves, oh, we're 30, 37, 38-year-old knees or whatever.
I've yet to see anyone push back on my assumption that they're bringing in all these young players from South America strictly to harvest their knees and give them to Luis Suarez.
I mean
I've
that
yet to
is
see an
that
argument
is
to the contrary.
that I don't know what the knee replacement surgeon likelihood is in South Florida. I imagine that they're there, and I imagine that you have
They're there.
surgeons who are very
It's South
good at
Florida.
that.
They've got a surgeon who can do everything.
Yeah. So no, that is a legitimate point.
Also, where you're getting the rematch of Brad versus Suarez, where Brad had to peel himself out of the net. Leo Campana is not here. Campana's not here to take part after.
No, he's injured in New England right now and out for about a month.
Correct. Yes. But Suarez, who was up in Brad's face until Brad peeled himself out of the net, which if you've ever peeled yourself out of a net like that,
it sucks.
It sucks, and it's not easy. Like, the fact that Brad reverse wormed himself out of there, that's a lot of core and hamstring strength that you're not really ready for. Because my favorite part of that is because that video still makes the round sometimes on soccer aggregator accounts. One is Suarez got away real quick when Brad got out of that net, and two, everyone always talks about what's like making fun of Brad for getting stuck in the net, as if he didn't stonewall Suarez in like the 93rd minute to seal the game,
Yeah.
And then stand there like a brick wall. You get the rematch there because remember, Brad tried to go after him and tried to go after a couple Miami players, and the referee then had to push Brad away and got onto him, but didn't get onto Suarez for getting into Brad's face while he was stuck in the net and trying to escalate the situation, because we can't get onto the guy who clearly has never done anything controversial on a soccer field, and we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. We go now to Giorgio Chiellini for additional comment.
He's just misunderstood.
He's going to be misunderstood when somebody like absolutely cleans him out.
Yeah. Once again, if you haven't seen it, go check out the episode of Atlanta United.
Yes.
And that particular incident and the microphone, the microphone conversation that Brad had with the center ref. Are you going to do anything about it? No.
Okay, well, I'll do something about it.
Oh.
And he did. He made the saves that he needed to make, and made Miami fans go home sad. There is. I am excited that we get like part 2 in all of this. Yeah, it'll be fun. It's fun for everyone involved. The whole family's gonna have a good time.
It's gonna be entertaining.
It's a good old fashioned hoot nanny on Sunday night at Mercedes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have us a Donnybrook. The potential for this to boil over at some point is high, and it's a very fun potential. But...
So all right, so let's play some juice boxes here. So it boils over. We anticipate it boiling over. Tyler, I know that your time is short because you actually have to go and have a life.
Oh, you're good.
All right, so then on the juice boxes, who would be the clubhouse favorites for it spilling over?
On which side?
Yeah,
Both.
that's the question.
Both. So I would go
Aviles.
Aviles is mine. And why? Why is it that when last week, why is it when Aviles gets a yellow, you go away from that? Why? Why? Because we're just gonna bomb it long. Hey, Wilf, go chase.
Well,
But Aviles is on a yellow card.
brother,
Damn it, go chase.
I'm still mad about 2020 or 2020 or 2021
Sure.
when LGP was in Miami. And this is that weird point in history where LGP was not given his flowers appropriately by the national media when he was in Atlanta. He was like top 2 center back in the league here. In 17 and 18. And when he gets to Miami, he's getting the flowers he deserved then, even though he like damn near set a yellow card record in Major League Soccer. There was one of those games where he picked up a yellow card early and Atlanta just quit challenging him, like quit attacking him. They like he picked up a yellow card because he couldn't stay in front of whoever the hell it was. Maybe been like Jake Mulroney or something. And
Wow.
Atlanta just like didn't attack him. It just didn't drive at him anymore. Like, what are we doing here? Like, he can't stay in front of him. Just drive at him, make him foul him. And they just didn't do it. Yeah, same thing with Aviles. Like, oh, he's on a yellow card. Well, guess who we're dribbling at today, kids?
We're gonna dribble over here. We're gonna go to Jordi Alba instead. All right. So Aviles is for me and Jarrett, leader in the clubhouse. Tyler, what about you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Suarez is going to be a club because I just feel like there's something a little more personal there for Suarez and his teeth now to figure out. He had a long time to think about it over the holidays. And but I think Aviles is just the one overall that might need to go to anger management at some point. So it's hard to pick against them. On the other side, I give you a sneaky one maybe, but I think Bartek Slish might be the one coming in hot in a good way. In a good way.
Well, but I mean, there's something there. I think that Bart is one of those watch pots that I think that once it takes a lot to get Bart moving in that direction. But if you hit the wrong note with Bart, then he's going to come after you.
Yeah.
And you don't want that kind of smoke, I don't think. It's like a long fuse, but then once it's kicked, then it's like, okay, everybody, head for the fallout shelter.
Tasmanian devil.
Yeah. So no, I think that's a good one. And I'm intrigued to see what the two holding mids look like. Obviously, is Mateus Click going to be good enough to get the start and give me 60? Is it Tristan Muyumba coming in off of a really good start? And Ronnie Dyla was pleased post match with the start that Muyumba gave him. Do you have it with Jay Fortune? Because we know what Jay and Derek did last time in the 2-2 draw, where they weren't afraid of nothing and nobody, and they were a part of suffocating that offense at the top of the 18. I'm intrigued, Jarrett, what it looks like, but that's why you've constructed this roster the way you have. You have all these different options in the midfield that you can play with going up against these folks coming from Cavalry / FLL.
Yeah, you are going to be dealing with a team that's going to be combative because they've been combative before. They're going to pick up cards, but they're going to be willing to fight even down a man, even down 2 men if it gets weird. Which we've seen happen in this building.
Yes,
thanks to Harris Medunian and Alejandro Bedoya.
One of the all-time nutties, Harris Medunian.
Well, because one of them called the referee a cheat, which is a great way to get sent off. Like that's like an S tier way to get sent off.
Ask Wando.
But man, like you're gonna have to be combative, and I think you're seeing more of it this year. And I think there is more to get out of it, and it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just flip a switch. Okay, now we're combative. Now
I'm combative now. Well, okay.
Now we are like the Islanders' third line.
Wow.
Now we have a team full of Sean Averys. Wow. It doesn't just happen like that. Also, Sean Avery's in the new season of Shoresy. I suggest you watch, John.
Yes, I saw the trailer where he and Shoresy are squaring off on a talk show.
Yeah, and it's a recurring thing.
and it is definitely something that is worthy. So,
But it doesn't happen overnight that Atlanta just develops the cojones to just square up. It's something that I think Ronnie Dyla's dragging out of them, but it's going to take time to fully drag it out of them. But I like Tyler's call. I think Shalish is a good one. If he's on the field, Click might be a good shout. Um, trying to think who else you might be able to get out of that. There's something about Togashi in his eyes that tells me he has put a body in a dumpster before. The state of that body is up for debate.
He has been in this situation late night in an alley, and he is one that if he's on your side, that he can be trusted.
There's something about Togashi's eyes that tell me he has used karaoke equipment as a weapon before, and he doesn't mind doing it again.
You just see the remote control in Togashi is just like bang. It's like, what was that noise? Oh, that was just the remote hitting your forehead. That's what that was.
He has used a wired microphone in a similar way that Scorpion does in the live-action Mortal Kombat movie.
Wow. That is strong.
And yes, Alex, put on Luke Brennan and have Luke Brennan go after Aviles and just talk to him.
Oh,
Luke will call everyone on the field everything but a child of God in a sewing machine. Happily. He won't think twice. He'll just do it.
Well, and that's the thing. You get Luke. You let's just say you bring in Luke with 20 to go or 15 to go, and there's something where you've either got to lock it down or you're chasing, and Luke is going to come in there, and Tyler he'll sit there and he's not going to back down from anybody. He's got tremendous lettuce, and he ain't backing down from nobody. He's got the flow, and he's going to be more than happy to sit there and run a little smack at the same time.
Yeah, Luke Brennan. First, I love Luke Brennan, and everything y'all are saying is absolutely correct. Like he's growing in his talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's unafraid entirely. But I think the thing that I love most about Luke is his smack talk. It is 2006 Halo Xbox lobby, like just condescending. Your mother, your family, your God, whatever. Anything that you can say to skirt under the line of getting like suspended, that is
Our
what Luke
kids
Brennan
these
kind of.
days would not survive a minute in the asylum upon which we were raised, man.
Not even a little bit.
They're
But
not
that's his vibe that he gives off, and I freaking love it.
To see that, Jared, from someone that we've seen from our time with the twos, come all the way through.
He did it with the twos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he did it with the twos. He was gonna talk that talk. I mean, and the thing is with the twos, you can hear most of it because there's 100 people there.
That's true.
And
You're not wrong.
Shy.
No.
Yeah, Luke's not shy. Although I don't know if Luke will actually be with the first team or not.
It's just
because the twos are playing in Miami.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, in Orlando.
That's OCB. Yeah, it's OCB at Osceola.
They're playing with they're playing against the Simbas down in Osceola at the exact same time.
Yes.
So good job there, MLS Next Pro.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch two games at once, you jerks.
Yeah. So we'll have post-game coverage of that after the fact in all of this. How much time, Tyler? How much longer do you have?
I got a few.
Okay. Let me roll into CONCACAF because that was one of the things I wanted to get into here in hour number 2 was Major League Soccer and CONCACAF as Jarrett does his Irish goodbye. I think he had to go get his conference call. Going backward, LAFC survived, and FC Cincinnati had a lead last night, and then they didn't.
Yep.
And so that was kind of rough. So it was once again yet another night for Major League Soccer in Seattle. They had a rough one too. You had the two at 8:30 and the one at 10:30. So, before I get into like the deeper dive, once again MLS gets to a point, and then you hear the screeching tires, and then the engine drops out, and the hood comes up, and the oil's over everywhere. Yellow flag comes out, and then everybody else is still taking laps, and you got to sit there and you got to go back to the garage once again. So it was a rough night for Major League Soccer last night in CONCACAF.
Yeah, I was really hoping Seattle would have a better showing because they were coming off a phenomenal win this past weekend where they whooped LA 5-2. And you just kind of hope, in your head, if you're a Seattle fan or an MLS fan, that like they can take that momentum and just be like, hey, let's go take Cruz Azul, who is dealing with injuries too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just ultimately was not a good game for them. Tigres was always going to be difficult for Cincy. Like, I get it. That's always a hard one. And then the Columbus LAFC match. I mean, look, if you're not an MLS fan, like if you're looking at this from the Liga MX side or the rest of CONCACAF side, you look at that Columbus LAFC match and you're like, all right, whatever, it's two MLS teams. But like that's must watch. LAFC has lost 2 finals in that stadium over the past 2 years, I believe.
Yeah.
And almost blew this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus was asking some questions, but I mean, it's really the other two that kind of shocked me.
You are irked. Are you officially irked, sir?
We're irked a little bit, yeah. And I get the rotation and I get the schedule congestion. I understand it. I really do. And we're going to continue to have this conversation about depth and everything else until you can have, a consistent amount of top tier talent on your bench for these kind of scenarios. And I mean, it's nothing new, but Seattle is the one. I was just hoping for a little bit better.
And coming out of that one, you have injury to Paul Arriola. Our buddy Nico Moreno has a not too good initial update. He was watching TUDN, and it appears, at least from the broadcast from TUDN last night, that it is a knee injury. No independent confirmation from the team. And then you also had the Jordan Morris injury happen in the second half, which forced another sub window for Brian Schmetzer. So you could be losing Paul Arriola for an extended period of time. You could be losing Jordan Morris. Don't know if it's a hamstring or a groin or what have you. Could be losing Jordan Morris for a couple of weeks. So one of the favorites in the Western Conference, and like I said, we'll talk to Nico about it tomorrow to see what the update is, but it ain't looking good out of the blocks when you lose 2 of your heavy hitters in a must-win game to advance, and now you've got to circle back into your competition in Major League Soccer, and you've got the Club World Cup coming up in 2 months with all of this chaos going on with your roster and your physiology.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what can you say? It's one thing if you lose the game and you're like, whatever. We had to rotate, whatever. But then to lose it and then end up with injuries after injuries, and that makes things even more difficult. I mean, you get to go focus on one competition now, and like until the summer, like you said. But you just have to hope that it's nothing super serious, and maybe it can be a month, whatever, even 2 months. If he can come back in that time, then like you can at least get him in for maybe a little bit of the Club World Cup. But I mean, knees can be 2 days, and knees can be a year, unfortunately. So
yes, for those of us that have them, yes, it can
Yeah.
be. It can be 2 days, or it can be a lot longer than that. I know that we have kept you past the number that the fourth put up on the touch line. Hit the promo for me. What's going on tonight?
So tonight, 7:00, we have the regular show. We'll have Sasha Kleshtin on with us.
Wow.
Be hopping Des Moines Menace.
Yes, we need the Des Moines Menace questions answered.
Yes. So drop. I'll try to ask some. So y'all hit me up on Twitter, and we'll see if we can throw some in.
$85, and you can get the Sasha Kleshtin gear package. And he's not the only one. You can get the Dax McCarty gear package, the Justin Miram gear package, the BWP gear package. Mikey Ambrose a part of this discussion. It's like, excuse
one
me.
more.
Well, you had Atlanta United legend Donnie Toya as a part of it. It was Mikey and Miram and Dax. Oh, Ozzy Alonso.
Ozzy, that's right, Ozzy.
So yeah,
that's crazy.
So yeah, we got to find
all-star game.
Yeah, we have reached out to the Menace, by the way, to see if we can get the GM on to discuss this. But yeah, we got to find. Yeah, inquiring minds have to figure out who's paying the bills for this, or are they just kind of sitting there and coming in and going, yeah, we'll just take 53 cents a mile and we'll do it in the car.
They've taken that master class from Miami that we were talking about. They have been the only attendant to it so far. So, but yeah, no, we'll have Sasha on. That'll be fun. Sunday we have a live show at the Signia
Well,
before the Miami match. That starts at 5 because the game is at 7, not 7:30. So
yes.
remember that now, folks. So yeah, 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock, we'll have a show. And yeah. And then you missed it. You missed our new co-host the other day at the Twos game.
Oh,
really quick story, and I'll dip out.
that's all right.
So we're at the Twos game, and home opener. And earlier in the week, Maddie had mentioned, "Hey, if Jarrett's not there, do you want to hop on a segment?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, always."
Eh,
So I get there, and we have somebody that we're working on bringing in to cover the Twos matches, and so I was helping her, getting her all situated, and my family was there. So after that, and before the opening whistle, I go down to the stands, see my family for a minute, and Stella is there. So I pick up Stella, and I wanted to go show her, show and tell, take her up to the press box.
well, magic happened.
I open the door to the press box, holding Stella, and as I open that door, Maddie opens the door coming out of the booth, and we're just like standing there, and she goes, "Are you ready to get on the segment?" And I was like,
Ah,
"Absolutely." I was like, "I don't know how this is gonna work," but
ah.
thankfully, Stella is the one baby who is super chill. She literally laid her head on my shoulder, and I did an entire segment on y'all's show while she just hung out with me. Best co-host I could have asked for. It was pretty good.
No doubt about it. So those are the kind of co-hosts that you treasure those kind of moments without a doubt.
Yeah.
As always, thanks for dropping by on Wednesdays. I know that we really did keep you massively, incredibly long.
It's all good.
And so just rest your voice, get your whatever's in your coffee mug, make sure that you add more and that the pipes are ready for 7 o'clock tonight. Scarves and Spikes on the YouTubes. And it is you and Ache. Is it you, Ache, and Tommy and Sid going up against Sasha? How is this working?
Probably tonight be me, Tommy, and Sydney. Henry, I think, has some stuff going on. He's also getting ready to do his, he's doing the across the pitch videos, which is, interviewing other team podcasts or whatever.
Right on.
So don't think we'll have Henry tonight.
Okay. So it's going to be a rondo with the four of you, with 3v1 going up against Sasha. As always, my friend, great to see you. Even if I'm in a hotel and you're in your imitation palatial studio setting. So have a good one tonight. We have to find out these Des Moines Menace questions.
Yes, indeed.
All right. That's Tyler, everybody. And so Tyler is going to go have a life, because that's how this works. So Tyler's going to go have a life and was with us incredibly long this morning. And we always thank Tyler for that kind of a thing. So very, very cool that Tyler was here to join us and find out about everything. So breaking down what happened last night in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. So it was a long night. It was a long night if you were a team in CONCACAF, and it just wasn't pretty by the end of it all. We mentioned the rotated lineups and such. Here's how it was last night. And by the way, we'll get into Champions League and we'll get into the news of the day, and we'll get you set for Champions League today and Conca Champions today. If you missed it and you want things in a bit of a shorter time frame with some of the stories that we don't have the chance to talk about here, you can catch Morning Espresso with Jason, and that comes out on video, audio, and newsletter, traditionally either right before we get on the air at 9:05 Eastern or usually first half hour or so. So you can get all of the Jason's thoughts in about 15 minutes. They're all in one place. The Morning Espresso, brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University. So yesterday, the matchups, Columbus and LAFC. And what we'll do, and I kind of do this almost to help out with fantasy as well, we'll go through the lineups to see how it was on a Tuesday, getting you ready for a Saturday. So for Columbus, goals on the board, Jason Russell Rowe, Diego Rossi, and it was 2-1, but then Denny Bouanga scored at 90+6. And so that goal puts LAFC through into the quarters. Your lineups in these games, and once again, I kind of do this to help out with fantasy as well, just as much as anybody. And we'll say hi to everyone after we get through CONCACAF, and we'll go through questions and things like that. So starting lineup for Columbus: Schulte, Morera, Zawadsky, Amundsen, Farsi, and Arfston to go with AZ Jackson and Nagby in the midfield, and Chambois, Rossi, and Jason Russell Rowe. So 3-4-2-1, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. So 5-3-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1, whatever. So that's what it was for Columbus. For LAFC, Hugo Lloris, who came up big late to preserve the win. Back for Hollingshead Long, Segura Palencia, midfield, Timothy Tillman, Igor Jesus, Mark Delgado. So this was first choice for LAFC. Buwanga, Ibobasi, and Martinez. Your benches on the day for Columbus, DeJuan Jones, Evan Bush, Cole Moroka, Stas Lopkis, Taha Habrun, Shaberko, and Herrera. So you can kind of see by the bench who might be heading into the weekend getting starts. For LAFC, they brought an extra couple of folks. Yaboa Ochoa and Kosi Tafari, Saldana, Nathan Ordaz, Thomas Hassel, Terry Giroux, who got a yellow card, Nielsen, Smolyakov, and Under. And so that was the lineup for Columbus and LAFC. So LAFC holds off Columbus, and they go to the CONCACAF Champions quarterfinals with their win. We mentioned the Cruz Azul match with Seattle. You look at the final score, and you can sit there and go, man, 4-1, what happened there? Literally, it got to the point to where Seattle was chasing, and they were down 1-0. Cruz Azul gets the next. Then Rothrock scores to make it 2-1. Rothrock commits a penalty to gets the second goal on the board for Cruz Azul. Rothrock gets one back. Sorry, Rothrock was in the 6. It went to Masovsky instead of Rothrock off the touch. So you end up with Rodriguez in the 33rd, Sepulveda with the PK to make it 2-0. Masovsky off a corner that made it 2-1 with 15 to go. And then you're chasing. No real surprise. The game, the bottom scoreline gets out of control. Bizana and Sanchez scored 3 minutes apart. 4 goals on the board. Cruz Azul advances, but obviously the larger picture is the injuries that we mentioned with Paul Arriola and with Jordan Morris. So, like I said, we'll talk to Nico about it tomorrow because we'll give it a day to kind of give itself a little bit of depth, and we might have more information. Worst case, we'll confirm what Nico said tomorrow morning in the last half hour, and then Nico will go to the Children's and Swedish Bouncy House and Fun House, and he'll get more information, and he'll post it on Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. So your lineup for Seattle, here's how it started. So it was Stephen Fry in net, your back three, Nuhu, Jackson Reagan, Yamar, Arriola before he was injured and had to be removed, Christian Roldan, Obed Vargas, Alex Roldan, your front three, Rusnak, Morris, and Ferreira. And so the bench for Seattle, Mosovsky came in, obviously, to create some energy with about 20 to go. Andrew Thomas, Bell, JP, Joe Paulo, Danny Leyva, Paul Rothrock, Georgie Manungu came in off the bench. Kosa Rienzi after the new contract, and we'll talk to him about Kosa. We'll talk to Nico about Kosa Rienzi as well. And so that was the bench in the 3-4-3 for Brian Schmetzer. So Cruz Azul advances, and they will await their opponent coming up in that upper right bracket. We'll go over the brackets too while we're thinking about it. And then Tigres beat Cincinnati last night. Cincinnati had a 1-0 lead, as we said. Then they didn't. It was 1-0 at the half. And then Tigres had put the pedal down starting. They had 3 goals in 8 minutes. Herrera, Brunetta, and Ibanez, 64th, 69th, and 72nd, after Evander scored in the 18th to give them the 1-0 advantage. Lineup for Cincinnati in this match. And like I said, we do this kind of just to give us an idea as to what the thought pattern was for the coach, and then secondarily because of fantasy coming up this weekend. But here's how it was. Celentano in net, your back three, Teenage Hadibi, Miles Robinson, and Flores at the back. Then it was Engel, Pavel Buka, Wobodo, Yedlin, Evander, Denke, and Orejano were your attacking three. So 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2, however you want to phrase it. So 3-4-3 for Pat Noonan, Celentano, Hadibi, Miles Robinson, Flores, Engel, Buka, Wobodo, Yedlin in your midfield. And then Evander, Denke, and Orejano was your attacking three. Your bench, Powell, Yuya Kubo, Sergi Santos, Corey Baird, short bench, Tabran and Nunga, Dottie Valenzuela, and Walters on the bench for Cincinnati. So that's your breakdown of that match. Cincinnati loses 3-1, so Cincinnati is out, and then you have to figure out what it's going to look like in the quarterfinals after that. So you have LAFC now going to go face Messi and Friends or Cavalier in the quarters next month, and so that's the breakdown there of those matchups. And so let me hang on just a second. Let me grab the bracket just so we are all on the same page. And so, once again, Tigres goes into the quarters. So where's my bracket? So scores and stats. I don't need scores and stats. I need the bracket more than anything else. Tonight is Monterrey and Vancouver Whitecaps, and it is the other half of that upper right bracket. So Cruz Azul is going to get the winner of Club America and Chivas. That is tonight. Also LA Galaxy and Herediano. Herediano has the 1-0 lead going to Carson, California. Can they hang on to it? That's the larger question with that particular matchup. Can Herediano hang on to the 1-0 lead? That is the larger question there. So when you look at the competitions that are engaged, if I don't know, maybe if CONCACAF would actually let me access a bracket, we'd be in good shape. But I guess they're not going to let me access a bracket. But anyway, okay. So that's the breakdown. So Monterrey, Vancouver, Club America, and Chivas. Those are tonight, as well as LA Galaxy and Herediano. Monterrey, Vancouver at Monterrey is at 8:30. The other two are at 10:30. Club America, Chivas, Galaxy, and Herediano. Okay, so let's go back in and say hi to everybody now that we are well into the show. So morning, Abby. Morning, Tommy. And yes, Abby, thank you because last thing I want is for you guys to have to sit there who might be watching on video, sit there and go, I can't quite see him. There's a glare. Yeah, and it was, and Abby was good to see Tyler at the tailgate. Yes. And Abby says, Abby remembers where there just used to be gas stations and McDonald's were the only things there. Absolutely true. And the fans were real supportive as well. So morning, Alex, as a part of the discussion. Pars says you really can't judge a lot right now. Thoughts are that we're starting our season against some of the strongest teams we may see, along with teams that are relatively unchanged from last year. 75% of the back line just played their first game under new tactics together. So that's from Pars. Michael Head in this morning. Gelling needs to happen fast midst of a long homestand. If you don't get 3 points, going to be in the same position as last year. And then you got to steal points on the road. And Rich likes the optimism, but it has been a slow start. Okay. So we've got to take care of that particular bot that came in at 9:38 this morning. Eula Ops, your time is short. I'm going to go back in on Twitch, take care of business. So we're going to take care of business there. That's a good question. Ropes, what is Brad's body count on injured teammates? Yeah, and we mentioned Franco Escobar. So Franco, I want to say LGP is a part of it. I want to say 3 or 4 at the very least. And Rich Ransom with the public service that MLS Cup starts is now underway on Twitch and YouTube. Palo Neto, I think he was in match number 5 or 6. So Palo Neto chasing after an MLS Cup title for Atlanta United. So the public service by Rich on Twitch and YouTube right there, the note from our friends at EMLS. So Palo Neto chasing after all the things. Derek, morning, Derek, by the way. Suarez is just cranky because he's hungry. Maybe he needs one of these. Will that satisfy? Will that satisfy him? Derek, I didn't know if you saw this on my desk here in the hotel room or not. But yes, maybe if Luis Suarez had one of these, then maybe he'd be helped out. Let's see. So Pars is saying that Messi will not play at Cavalier. So let's look into the what it looks like. Let me go to Michelle Kaufman, and Michelle Kaufman is one of our go-to folks. Michelle is the beat writer for the Miami Herald involving everything Messi and friends. So Duke commit Sheldon Henderson. And so when will Messi return? Playing in Jamaica. Noah Allen called by Greece. And so that is her new That is her new podcast that is up inside Messi and Friends. But technically, it's a different title. It actually has the title of the actual club that is there instead of everything else. So, don't know. Do not know what the rundown is for Messi on the board. Yeah, Matt. Morning, Matt. By the way, let's not let Rocco have the game of his life. Yeah. So right now, as things stand, we do not know of any kind of a reversal of the red card, or if it's under consideration by Disco or anything. So we do not know what it looks like. Is there any kind of a challenge that is being put together by Messi and Friends to rescind the red card on Oscar Ustari? Because if it is not Oscar Ustari, then it will be Rocco Rios Novo. It was that way in the matchup against Charlotte last weekend, but haven't heard anything about challenging the red. If it's not Ustari, my guess is Ustari plays at Cavalier on tomorrow night. And then Rocco Rios Novo will start for Messi and Friends Sunday night against Atlanta United, a building that he's quite familiar with, and will know about everything. And I will be intrigued as to the response. You know, is it going to be somewhat warm and welcome, or is it going to be is it going to be something different? So what is the response going to be for Rocco Rios Novo when he rolls into the building and gets announced on by Steve Craig on Sunday night? What's the response for Rocco? Morning, Alex. Alex says after the first yellow, throw Luke Brennan at Avilas and see what happens. That would be a hoot. That would be an absolute hoot. That would be a hoot. And then Matt on Latte Lot. Notice that Latte Lot didn't seem right when he was playing after the knock. Seems right after they started protocol, right after the match. Yeah. So, he did not look 100% after contact. And then everyone in the Matt section was noticing that something was off with Latte Lot after contact. So there you go. Ricky Ricardo, public service announcement. Morning, by the way. If any of you decided to apply to volunteer for the Club World Cup, should have gotten an email about volunteer tryouts yesterday or today. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and ask. Volunteer tryouts? Do you have to try out to be a volunteer? Excuse me, sir, what is your volunteering experience? Well, I've done this, and this. Okay, you're a veteran. If you're a rookie volunteer, do you have to try out? If you haven't volunteered before, do you have to try out? I'm intrigued. Ricky says you should have gotten an email about volunteer tryouts. How do you try out to be a volunteer? It's yes. Please go this way. Please go. Is it volunteer tryouts? What do volunteer tryouts entail? That to me, that is the burning question this morning. What do volunteer tryouts for the Club World Cup entail? That you have to properly know how to put on a smock or a bib or a golf shirt? That you can wave people frantically and sit there and go, stay calm, all is well? What do volunteer tryouts entail? Ricky, do they tell you? What do volunteer tryouts entail? Morning, KFC and Jack. Yeah, and like I said, Jack, we don't know. And by the way, Jack, thanks for dropping by and being a part of things on YouTube. But we don't know. Haven't heard. Don't know. And like I said, having the game on Sunday night gives you that extra day to determine Latte Lot's availability, how many minutes, how does he look, how does he feel, how is he responding to the day and the week, those kinds of things. Having that extra day, I think, helps. But 5 days in, that would mean either Friday night or Saturday morning. You get the word one way or the other on Latte Lot for the weekend. So, just checking. Okay, so Ricky Ricky clarifies. He says, it's not really like a tryout. It's more like a giant group interview. They explain the tournament and ask you about your experience and why you want to be a volunteer. I want to get into the games for free. That's why. Why do you want to be a volunteer? I want to get into the games. I don't want to pay for a ticket. Drew Fisher, by the way, is the referee for Sunday night football. Timothy Ford is the VAR. Whew. Okay. Timothy Ford, your VAR. Drew Fisher, the man in the middle. Please adjust your seatbelts appropriately. So, all right. Now, you mentioned, you mentioned, all right. So, getting into the tickets for getting into the building for free, angling for an in-stadium volunteer role, as you should. So here's what we're going to do as a bit of a public service. Right now, the Club World Cup. Let's do the Google search for Club World Cup tickets, shall we? So we have done the search, and what we're going to do is we're going to click on a secondary ticket market opportunity instead of going through the organization that is in charge of the actual thing. So we have 3 group stage matches, and then we have the 3 that are down the line. So just as a public service, here we go. Secondary ticket market, Chelsea and Club Leon. Just to have these numbers out here. That's not too bad. Okay. 300 level. In the 300 level, you're under $100. You're under $75 for the get-in. And that is on the bench side right now. Get-in price, and up in the rafters, up in the corners, it looks like the get-in price is anywhere from like $72 to $80. That's get-in for Chelsea and Club Leon. Then as you go further down, you've got some that are in the 100s. You got 128. You got 128 up to 183. Somebody is selling a get-in end zone upper tank for $317. I don't quite think that one's going to get bought. But then you get into the lower bowl, you're looking at $331, $583, that kind of a thing. That's Chelsea and Club Leon. So that's Chelsea and Club Leon listed as high demand. Now, June 19th, Messi and Friends and Porto. Just as an example, once again. Get-in price, still manageable, anywhere from 73 to 84 in the upper tank. But then you start getting into further down. Somebody, once again, it's like you're like, okay, 73, 86, all of that. Someone, and it might be the same person who tried to sell the Chelsea Leon Club ticket for $317, end zone upper tank, Mercedes-Benz, $448. I don't quite see that particular ticket moving for that price. I'm just saying. Lower bowl, you're getting into 280, 324 on the club level, 303. Somebody decided to sell a lower bowl for 710, angled into the end zones for American football. But that upper tank, that one left at 448, I don't quite see that moving. So that's Inter Miami and Porto. Then Manchester City and Al Ain on the 22nd. Once again, get-in price, $62. Okay, so 62, that's manageable. Somebody decided to sell one upper tank for $113. And I think the same people that wanted to sell for $317 decided that they wanted to try and sell one for Manchester City and Al Ain for $364. I don't quite think that's going to go either. But then you go lower bowl, you're looking $455, club level $599, $280, $315, $184, so on and so forth. But yeah, the get-in price, upper tank, along the sidelines, anywhere from 62 to, $62 to 113 seems to be an outlier. And then the dude that wants to sell in the end zone for 364. That's not quite happening. So 62 for the get-in for Manchester City and Al Ain Sunday night late. Then the round of 16 matchup on the 29th. Little bit more expensive. Get-in price just under $100 for the round of 16 matchup. Then you start to get lower bowl, just under 300. Right at center line, somebody's just under 1,000. Someone on the club level, $1,269. But get-in price for the round of 16 matchup on the 29th, under $100. Okay, that's understandable. Round of 16, the second round of 16 match, July 1st at 9 o'clock. Get-in price $55. And then there are some 86s and things like that. But then you go club level, you're just under 300. Lower bowl anywhere from all over the place, anywhere from 236 to 1,600. So get-in prices don't seem to be all that out of control for the particular matches. And then the quarterfinal match, July 5th at noon. Get-in prices $143. Then you have some 260s. And club level, 700, 750. Lower bowl, 700, 800. Club level, right at center line in a suite, you're looking at 2,000 a ticket. So, I mean, the get-ins for the opening round stuff don't seem to be that completely out of control. But then you have that one outlier who said, yeah, I'm going to hang on to the ticket, and I'm going to charge, an $11 gazillion fee. It doesn't quite work that way. But what you're trying to do, as Ricky is trying to do, and he admits this in the Twitch pitch, is that you are trying to get in so you can be Club World Cup, and then you can be recognized. Oh, they volunteered for the Club World Cup. World Cup shows up next year. Yeah, they volunteered for Club World Cup. They're good. They understood the message. They understood the demands of the volunteerism. So you're circling back in the hopes that you can be re-volunteered for the World Cup coming up in a year. So Ricky angling for the in-stadium the in-stadium volunteer role. Ricky admits getting into the volunteerism side of things. A lot more moving parts in Super Bowl volunteering. And so once again, hoping that you can get volunteered for the World Cup if you volunteer for club. 10,000 volunteers for the Super Bowl. Even more on top of that for the actual World Cup. You get a lot of free FIFA and Adidas branded stuff. See, now that would be pretty sweet. You get all the gear. You get like the Club World Cup gear. But then you run into that question of, well, do I wear it after the fact, or do I frame it? Do I put it on eBay? Those kinds of things. See, that would be, that to me would be the fun part. As you sit there and you're going, well, okay, I'm really looking forward to this. But no, so I see, yeah, okay. Yeah, it still wears the Super Bowl stuff, still, but that's a conversation, yes. So, no, I get it. And I imagine that a lot of folks who'll be volunteering aren't going to keep everything. And then they'll put, some of it on eBay, and then I'll probably circle back behind and I will buy it, for Christmas or something. So, all right. Let me find, see, now this is bugging me. The fact that when you tried to go on to the CONCACAF website over a phone, it wouldn't give you the brackets, but now I'm annoyed, and so I want to go look at the brackets. By the way, juice boxes tonight for CONCACAF. Monterrey at home favorite at a -161. Whitecaps are a +426. Club America -196 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Chivas almost a +500. And this is to win the match itself, not to advance into the quarters. Galaxy a -244 hosting Herediano. Herediano's a +603. So once again, no real surprise to any of that. So now going into schedule and results, courtesy of our friends at CONCACAF. I need to see the bracket because they didn't give you the bracket option for the Champions Hemispheric Extravaganza. So anyway, now after last night, a bracket which they have not updated. So LAFC advances, and they're going to get the winner of Cavalier and Messi and Friends. That's upper left. Winner of Monterrey and Vancouver gets the win of Alajuelense and Pumas, and that is tomorrow night late. Then you have winner of LAG and Herediano going up against Tigres, and that starts, that starts in the next round. That is low right, and then you have Cruz Azul advancing, playing the winner of America and Chivas, and that is upper right. So it is LAFC, winner of Messi and Friends and Cavalier. I know what you're saying. Monterrey and Whitecaps taking on the winner of Alajuelense and Pumas. That's low left. So everything feeds itself to the possibility of either LAFC and Messi and Friends taking on either Monterrey or Pumas in the semis on the left-hand side of the bracket. LAG and Herediano, probably going to be LAG going up against Tigres. That's low right. Upper right, once again, it's Cruz Azul taking on the winner of America and Chivas. So it just took one click. Literally, it took one click for me to find the bracket on the laptop, but couldn't do it here on the phone. Technology. So, KFC doing very, very well to remind us about Decatur FC. And it was great to have the new GM on last week. If you missed that interview, it's back on the network. You can go back and listen in our podcast section. You've got Decatur FC tickets available now for the WPSL season. Supporters group tickets for Atlanta supporters group members get far with season tickets. So there you go. So Decatur FC averaged over 2,000 a match last season at Decatur High School. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on in season number 2 for them. Follow-up of Apotheos, possibly looking for game day interns. Check it with our friend Anthony Catalano and with Apotheos, as they are looking for interns probably, and it's for their time at Silverbacks Park here in the NPSL in the spring and summer. So you've got that. So there's other chances to be a part of the local game here and following your favorite clubs and your favorite teams. So yesterday in Champions League, Donnarumma stood on his head, apparently, from all intents and purposes, and that's it. We can use that cliche because when you go to PKs and you save PKs, then that's a good thing. And so that means that Liverpool is OWT out of Champions League. And so the results yesterday, just to combine with the juice box intel and info, Bayern Munich at a plus 136, 2-0 winners over Leverkusen. Inter won the match 2-1 over Feyenoord at a minus 286. PSG at a plus 177. They were a dog, and they end up getting the win in penalties. And Barcelona 3-1 winners over Benfica. And if you haven't seen it, it is recommended that you go find the Lamine Yamal goal. Because that happened while I was in the car driving down here to Middle Georgia yesterday, and it was sick. It was sick. It was insane. Oh, my God. So please go find it and please go watch it. So PSG as the 15 comes through, and they will get the winner of Bruges and Aston Villa. Barcelona as the number 2 gets the winner of Dortmund and Lille. Bayern and Inter is your next matchup. Bayern, once again, 5-0 in the aggregate. Inter 4-1 in the aggregate. So you have 4 versus 12, Inter and Bayern. Barca getting the winner of Lille and Dortmund. PSG advancing, and they're going to get the winner of Bruges and Villa. Winner of PSV and Arsenal, which is going to be Arsenal unless something really happens that we don't know about, because Arsenal as the 3, 7-1 in leg number 1. Goes up against, thanks. Arsenal gets the winner of Real and ATLUTD. Real leading 2-1 in that one. So Arsenal as the 3 gets the winner of Real Madrid and ATLUTD in the quarters. Like I said, PSG gets either Bruges or Villa. Villa's got a 3-1 lead. Barcelona gets Dortmund or Lille. Bayern and Inter is the other quarterfinals. So now today, looking at your juice boxes in this one, Lille is a bit of a dog hosting Dortmund. Dortmund at a plus 159. Lille's a plus 175. Arsenal, obviously, favored to win at a minus 204. And this is today's match, not in the overall. Up 7-1 in the aggregate. I'm thinking that's a safe play. So if you're going to watch this match at 4 o'clock, enjoy it. Villa favored at home at a minus 135 with a 2-goal lead on Club Brugge at plus 355. And ATLUTD favored at home at a plus 156. Real Madrid a plus 165 to win the match. ATLUTD's got some work to do in leg number 2. April 8th, by the way, is the date that has been set already for the opening round of the round of 8s. And Bayern and Inter have already been declared to be on that day. So Bayern, early favorite with a month out, 26, 27 days. Bayern's a minus 137 hosting Inter at a plus 361. So that's your juice boxes for everything that happened in Champions League yesterday. There were a couple of news stories that I saw that just some headlines that we'll get into as we go here. Handful of minutes to go, and like I said, we'll lay everything out for you. All the what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Remember, soccer is in session is tomorrow at noon. So tomorrow, here's the layout for the show. Doug Irwin, Chief Branding Officer, Vice President of the Greenville Triumph. He's going to be joining us bat and leadoff because they have their groundbreaking with Ronaldinho at Malden, South Carolina. They've got a match tonight as well as kind of a full day of all of that. So we're going to catch up with Doug, find out about the groundbreaking, find out what's next for Greenville, talk a little USL League One. So Doug Irwin's going to join us off the top tomorrow. Power Hours, Nina and Nico, 10 and 10:35. Then on the network, we'll be at Eagles Landing for Hampton and Eagles Landing for your doubleheader on Thursday night. And that'll be on our Mixler channel, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Download the Mixler app, follow Soccer Down Here, and you can also make sure that you are ready to go because when you do follow us on Mixler, you get email notifications as to when something is live. So very cool stuff from our friends at Mixler there as well. And then once again, Friday, we are going to have a member of Sunday Night Soccer on with us during the show. Don't quite know which hour yet, but we are going to have someone from Apple TV and Sunday Night Soccer on with us to talk about that, talk about Major League Soccer, the whole thing. Hopefully we can get our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring to join us at 9:30. And then also on the board, Jason and the Weekend Whip Around is in hour number 2. Morning, Lockville Batson. Morning. Good to have you with us. So we will have a member of the Sunday Night Soccer broadcast team on with us on Friday. Just don't know the when yet because of production meetings. We'll keep you posted on that. Ricky, I can neither confirm nor deny that individual. So that was kind of where we are. But yes, we are going to have a member of Sunday Night Soccer on with us on Friday morning. Out of the Guardian, FIFA is accused of blocking labor inspections at the Estadio Azteca. And according to Paul McGinnis at The Guardian, they've been accused of reneging on a commitment to ensure workers' safety on World Cup projects by refusing inspectors access to observe conditions inside the Estadio Azteca. Representatives from the trade union Building and Woodworkers International, the BWI, say they were told Monday before a planned visit that they would not be allowed access to the 80,000 capacity venue, which is being renovated for the World Cup. The world competition that is happening in this hemisphere next year. I don't know if I can say that without getting into trouble. The BWI argues that there has been minimal scrutiny of labor conditions on projects in Mexico, saying that there is, quote, systemic opacity, end quote, on information related to developments. It claims a broader agreement over joint inspections in the 3 host countries for the 2026 tournament had been negotiated with FIFA, only for the governing body to pull out before signing. So General Secretary for the BWI, Ambet Yusun, said FIFA was dodging its responsibilities toward workers and that the governing body for global football had failed to learn from the human rights concerns related to recent tournaments. FIFA spokesperson said, quote, the Azteca Stadium and its construction process is not managed by FIFA. However, in line with its human rights policy, FIFA strives to respect and promote the highest international labor standards and seeks to ensure that the rights of workers in the various activities directly related to its operations are upheld. December of last year, a FIFA committee found that a, quote, credible argument could be made for FIFA having contributed to a number of severe human rights impacts, in quotation marks, during the buildup of the tournament in Qatar. BWI has previously cooperated with FIFA on workplace inspections involved in ensuring appropriate labor conditions at the past 4 tournaments, including Qatar. The Azteca, staging 5 games, renovation has a committed $1 billion in the budget, created an estimated 1,000 jobs. So keep an eye on that. So that might be just something that you have below your radar in your day-to-day. So just kind of keep an eye on all of that. Now, also, you have Manchester United. We went on the deep dive of Manchester United on Tuesday. And according to James Ducker, Manchester United's head of sports medicine, Gary O'Driscoll, is out after 18 months. Following first-team doctor Jim Moxon is expected to join Brighton. So O'Driscoll set to leave the club after 18 months. Sources say that it is not connected with redundancies or the litany of injuries. Driscoll joined United from Arsenal in September of 2023. Now he's decided to move on in a surprise development, according to Ducker at The Telegraph, having overseen a number of changes across the medical department. Understood both will stay on for a period to ensure there's no disruption in medical support during the final months of the season as United searches for replacements. United insiders say the exits of both men are not related to the most recent round of job cuts. That was another 200 to raise the total to 450. So that is the news out of Manchester United. Virgil van Dijk doesn't know what his future is after this season. Is it at Liverpool or not? He doesn't know. Let's see. Newcastle, Morning Alex. Luke Edwards in an article. Newcastle has what they are referring to as Project 2030, as they're moving into the second phase of the club's quest for growth under the Saudi PIF. After last month's board meeting led by Chairman Yasser Al-Rumayyan, a renewed push is going to happen over the next 5 years, and they're calling it Project 2030. Sources have told The Telegraph the chairman was full of enthusiasm for the project, believes a 5-year timescale is a realistic one to turn them into a club who compete for silverware every season, regularly play in the Champions League, and eventually compete for the Premier League title. Ambition also extends to the women's team with the aim to achieve promotion to the WSL. 2030 is a loose deadline, not cast in stone, but the intention is to continue to close the revenue gap on the traditional Big Six and build a squad that is competitive in all of those stages. And so they have now freed themselves of their constraints related to PSR. Newcastle in a position to strengthen their squad and keep Alexander Isak. So you're looking at winning a trophy, a new stadium. So they're looking at a new stadium adjacent to St. James Park in the development proposal, costing in the region of £1.5 billion, looking to seat about 68 to 69,000. Rejuvenating and strengthening a squad, closing the revenue gap. So that's what Project 2030 for Newcastle. So keep an eye out for Project 2030 and what is possibly occurring there. So Manchester United, according to Ducker, risk an Arsenal-style decline with a £2 billion stadium, but we'll see what the Telegraph has to think about that as well going forward. So also on the board, no, that's not what I hit. Trying to check the headlines in all of our favorite papers. Let's see. What was I? There was the one more that I thought that I saw that might have been a story. Did I see this? So I was trying to figure out, there was one other story that I thought that was there, but I think I might have covered all of them when it comes to the story chasing that we have. Okay. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, juice boxes, etc. Okay. So what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. Once again, you're looking at Champions League. You're looking at CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. So we'll keep an eye on those. We'll see which one of the FSs they are on. BNB and Espanol has big Copa Libertadores action going on, doubleheader 6 and 8:30. If you don't have the BNs, BN en Español is simulcasting. If you don't have the BNs, Nuestro Tele, CDO, For the Fans, TIC, CDO, our buddy Nino Torres and Gold TV. You can get it at fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can become a true degenerate, or even more than you already are. Like I said, Jason got me hooked. I blame him. Doubleheader on the Libertadores at 6 and 8:30. Cerro Porteño, Melgar, Corinthians, and Barcelona. Once again, we'll talk to our buddy Nino Torres about that tomorrow. Lille and Dortmund is on CBS Sports Network at 1:45. FS1 has Monterrey, Vancouver, Galaxy, and Herediano at 8:30, 10:30. FS2 has the Beach Soccer Championship between the Bahamas and the U.S. That is at 8 o'clock. To the NA, Lille and Dortmund at 1:45, ATLUTD and Real at 4, plus Monterrey, Vancouver, and América, Guadalajara, and Chivas. Those are the two matches on 2 to NA. Unimas, Lille and Dortmund, ATLUTD, Real. BN en Español simulcasting Libertadores. ESPN Plus has Greenville and Union Omaha, 7 o'clock. Remember, in about a half hour, they're going to have the groundbreaking for the facility in suburban Greenville. We're catching up with Doug Irwin tomorrow about it, the whole experience, and early thoughts in USL League One. Golasso Network, Stoke and Blackburn has 4 o'clock. Paramount Plus has already had their AFC Champions League Elite matches of the day. 3 matches in English Championship. 3:45 Leeds, Millwall, Watford, and Swansea. Stoke and Blackburn is at 4. They have all 4 Champions League matches on Paramount Plus, as well as VIX. VIX has Monterrey, Vancouver, Chivas, and Club America, and the Beach Soccer Championships. VIX also has Liga MX Femenil at 5:45, Club America, and Puebla. So that's your rundown of all those things. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo once again before we get out of here. And I'm going to cut the promos at the end. This is a new one. This is a new one. We're cutting the promos at the end of it all. So we'll see what's up. And apparently, you might get the chance to see the Club World Cup spinning dial if you're at Sunday Night Soccer. So keep an eye on that. Might be an opportunity to go wandering by a particular part of Mercedes-Benz and see said trophy, because I think it's making the rounds. So, all right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. And once again, we'll cut the promos at the end, where you can get all the things and be a part of everything that we're doing here at SDH. Now, Bayern and Real Madrid interested in Diogo Dalot at Manchester United. Liverpool considering a move for Dortmund's defender Nico Schlotterbeck, who they see as a potential long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk. Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal would be Victor Gyökeres's preferred destination. Oops. So much for being at Manchester United. That's from Abola in Portugal. Arsenal are right now leaders in the clubhouse for Espanyol keeper Joan Garcia. Barcelona wants him. That's from Cadena Ser. United might make a move for Dusan Vlahovic, as Juve are willing to lower their £35 million asking price for the striker. Spurs have opened talks with Angel Gomes over a free move when his Lille contract expires over the summer. United leading the race for Rosario's 18-year-old defender Juan Jimenez. Liverpool have started to explore a deal for Milos Kerkez at Bournemouth. Leeds a verbal agreement to re-sign Calvin Phillips for Manchester City, subject to them earning promotion to the Prem. Newcastle plotting a move for Liam Delap, wants to stay in the Premier League amidst Ipswich's current struggles, and they got some work to do if they're going to stay up. And Arda Güler wants to leave Real Madrid as he's looking for game time. Inter and AC Milan reportedly interested in the midfielder. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and all the things. Now, also, morning, Jorge. Rolo Poloelo. What is your real name? That is my real name. Yeah, and Ricky's like, Villa wants to make Marco Asensio's loan move from PSG permanent, as does Ricky. I think the asking price is only like $15 million. So that might be something that's navigable for Aston Villa, for you, Tom Hanks, and for Pars. See, now, Ricky, you and Pars, you can guide Pars, because remember, we were trying to find Pars a Premier League club to follow. And we have, through a process of elimination, given him Aston Villa. So Ricky and Pars, morning, Jorge. Ricky and Pars, Ricky can guide Pars through the waters of Aston Villa going forward. So, Pars, if you have any questions about Villa, ask Ricky. Ricky, if you'd like to guide Pars along, help Pars. All right. So promos before we get out of here. Go to Olive and York and get the jersey, and you can get it. It is, once again, Kaiser Permanente on the front of the Navy jersey, either personalized with white lettering or with navy blue lettering on the back. Then you can also help out the Marshall Islands. You can get the scarf. You can get all the gear. You get all the gear. You pay for it in England. You get the scarf. You get it from me. Pay for the scarf. I ship it to you. Or if I see you in person, I bring it to you and I hand it to you on Sunday. But if you want the rest of the Marshall Islands gear, you pay for it. It ships from London. I go to the other side of my door in the office, in the studio, and get the scarf and bring it in when I see you. Or I ship it to you. Also, Grady Baby Co. And you can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear. Helps out middle school soccer programs tied to Atlanta Public Schools as a part of our Soccer for Good here in 2025. And you can do that either in red or in black with the gold lettering. Once again, Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. with that collaboration this year as well. Also, you can become a Fanatico at the SDH network. And I'm debating trying to type it, but I always end up having issues. So I may just have you guys write it down when it comes to the information in and of itself. So for $10 a year, literally, what do you do for $10 a year? You can become an SDH Fanatico. Nick's became a Fanatico yesterday, as a matter of during the show. And what you can do is for $10 a year, you get access to exclusive discounts all over Atlanta. And it's not just all over Atlanta. It's like here in the upper half of the state of Georgia with a couple of things. And in Costa Rica, if you want to go to a particular resort, Chateau Arenal. They're in here on the Chant app. You get breweries, pubs, soccer retail stores. Lloyd's has specific Atlanta United discounts. Hotels, comedy theaters, much, much more. Exclusive access to our group on the Chant app to stay better connected to all that we do on SDH. Group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join. One more time. Group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join. And I'll show you once again. Here's what it looks like on Chant. Here's what it looks like being a Fanatico on the Chant app. And you can have the chat that's available, player of the match on Chant Assist with Atlanta United as a part of things on Chant as well, starting 11s. And, you have galleries that have been posted by folks who are on here. I think the boss has posted a lot of photos as a part of what's going on. Abby's posted photos on here as well. So it gives us all a chance to be a part of the greater community. Schedules on here for Atlanta United, and also all of the places where we have partners and stats and leaderboards on Chance and all those kinds of things. So once again, $10 a year, become a Fanatico right here. I have not heard a consensus. Jorge is asking if there is a consensus on the customization going with the white letters and numerals or the light blue. I think Abby went with the light blue, but it's just how you want to look at it. And I think that, to me, traditionally, it would be, and like I said, I don't personalize. So that would be a question for Abby, maybe more than anybody. And she can shoot you a picture and show you how it looks. Because I think she personalized with the Carolina blue, the lighter blue on the Navy. So check with Abby, find out how she personalized it. And if you like it, go that direction. Then you can always go the other way. But once again, you can go to Olive and York, get the personalized jersey, Kaiser Permanente on the front, nice little button down with the flop collar. And you have Beyond Goals Mentoring, Soccer for Good, helps out all of our causes here in 2025 in Soccer for Good. You have the Grady Baby collaboration, Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta, red, black, t-shirt, sweatshirt. You can get gear at soccerdownhere.net on SDH Network. You can get some attack and some Ruckus stuff as well. I think it's Ruckus. I think it's Ruckus. So you can get some old school gear on there as well that Jason has mocked up, but you can get SDH Network gear there as well, soccerdownhere.net. And also mentioning the Fanaticos there as well. You can do that through Chant and be a part of the whole thing all the way through. Sorry about that. So tomorrow, Well, tomorrow, actually later today, driving back from Dublin. Once again, thanks to everybody at Jeff Davis and with Appling County for helping us out yesterday to be a part of things there in Hazelhurst. It was great to see everybody, great to be a part of stuff. So driving back today, and then tomorrow it is Doug Irwin from Greenville Triumph at 9:05. Then 10 o'clock hour, it is Nino and Nico. Everything else in between. Game, Hampton, doubleheader, Hampton and Eagles Landing tomorrow afternoon and evening. Then Friday, once again, we will be having someone from Sunday Night Soccer on the show. Just don't know the time. We can whip around, and also catching up with our friends from Beyond Goal. So it's another busy couple of days, and that's what the beauty of this season is. We'll preview the twos, preview Atlanta United. We'll talk about all the things, talk about all the stuff. Those are official terms. So once again, thanks for hanging out with me in a hotel room. Hopefully your day is going to be fantastic. Don't forget to watch what you want to watch. Have fun. Take it easy. Be there with your family. Be there with your friends. Back at it in less than 22. And so, mucho platial. Play it safe. As always, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente here on the SDH Network. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Doug Irwin, Chief Branding Officer of the Greenville Triumph, kicking things off on a very busy Thursday Thoughts. Once again, end of the show. See you tomorrow. That means I get to do this.